I'll just mention briefly on page 237, he says that radio communication is the communication of the universe. Because radio travels for a long time before it dissipates, before it loses its energy. And he says that if an alien species were nearby, they would definitely detect the amount of radio traffic that we are exhibiting. Like, if they were to scan, long-range scanners, right? If they were to scan a bunch of solar systems in a galaxy, ours would ping, like ours would glow because of all the radio traffic that we have on the Earth, and that escapes also into space. But I also think that there are actually satellites that fire radio out of the Earth. It's not just the background noise of all the music playing. I think there actually are astronomers who are firing radio signals out from the Earth. And this is an interesting point on page 239. I'll just talk about it, then quote it. He says that the information that we have in our brains, in our genes, and in our books and records, and even on the internet, I suppose, has a lifespan because it's contingent on our existence. But you may know that Carl Sagan was part of a project that sent out a satellite. I think it might have been called Voyager satellite or something like that. The Voyager satellite was sent out to Alpha Centauri, which is the nearest solar system to us. And in it is like an 8-track record, those giant black records, only it's made of gold. And in it is all kinds of information. It has grooves in it, and in the grooves, I guess if you read the grooves, then it has all kinds of information about us and our languages and our music and things like that. Carl Sagan says that this thing will survive. He says 1 billion years. This golden record will survive cosmic rays and cosmic dust and whatever. It may be that this Voyager satellite, and I don't know how long it will take to get to Alpha Centauri, but it may survive the human race, and it may be the sole information, the sole storer of information of the human race. For if our planet, for example, were to explode, it would annihilate everything. Let's say it annihilated everything on it. The Voyager satellite would then be the only thing left of human knowledge. That's just an interesting point. Another thing I should mention is in Childhood's End, a book by Arthur C. Clarke, he mentions one of the alien race that humans encounter. They have a human curator, and it's kind of neat because he has certain artifacts from the Earth. There may be a time in which there is another alien species who studies ours, and they have a curator in a museum of human artifacts, which is kind of strange. But he also mentions on page 240 that a radio signal, or he says a television broadcast, which I assume is through radio, it will reach Alpha Centauri in 4 years. And he says that it takes only a few hours for a television broadcast to go past Saturn. But he doesn't say how long the Voyager satellite will take to get there. Here's an interesting breakdown of our civilization, and this is on page 257. What does it mean for a civilization to be 1 million years old? We have had radio telescopes and spaceships for a few decades. We have had our technical civilization is a few hundred years old. It probably means the Industrial Revolution. Scientific ideas of a modern cast, a few thousand. Civilization in general, a few tens of thousands of years. And human beings evolved on this planet only a few million years ago. So interesting kind of time scale. There's some neat stuff on what would you say to an alien species? What would you communicate to them? What would interest you about them? And he actually has here, and I'll show you the page, I don't know what you'd call it, a kind of, it says a computer summary. It's an organization of data that would define a planet's circumstances. And it talks about like the atmosphere and the world type and the world size and things like that. And it's pretty neat. This may be a framework or a kind of like a way of filling out planetary data that you would communicate to another species.